What's up, everyone? Welcome back to episode number 2 of The Kindred. First off, want to say thank you so much to everyone who left a comment, who liked, subscribed. Dude, we got so many.
It was awesome.
It was so nice. It felt so good to like overwhelmingly positive feedback. Like, not a single person like, this is whack. What else? Like, what? I mean, like, what is there to say? First off, we're two handsome, really smart dudes. Like, what is there to say whack about?
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong, ladies and gentlemen. No, but seriously, tons of great feedback. Dude, like, I feel like getting like 500 views in a couple of days feels really nice. Like, I don't expect this to be huge, but it just feels good to have people like, this is cool, you know? So just want to say thank you.
Again, to echo that, huge. We had a few folks that even left specific comments that were like, hey, I never even thought about some units that way.
Yeah.
And we loved that so much. And we had another user that actually requested, hey, what are some potential use cases for specific units? So we talked over the last week or so, and that actually brought us to what we're going to cover today, which we think is going to be a good little overview to start of, hey, these are the units. This is how the army itself is meant to function. It goes along this way. And then later on, we're going to get deeper into how that might look in specific metas in your area, or how that might function just at a global scale, how that might work across different formats. But we appreciated that. So as we keep getting more of that feedback, let us know what you want to hear.
Exactly. If there's something you as a player you've been having trouble with, or you're questioning, or you just want like something delved a little deeper in, or you just want to hear us serenade you, like, just let us know what that is, and we will gladly give that up. You know, we're just two ding dongs who want to talk about our short buddies. You know,
there's a couple little guys,
just a couple little dudes hanging. You know,
it's only the second time. Let's set the stage again as a reminder to any of you who are new here for our second episode. I'm GP. Happy to have you here with us. Our main focus is to make sure we're talking about all things Votann here. We're going to start out just going over units. We're going to go over some competitive focuses.
Yes.
But, you know, get started. Join some of the Discords. We're always in the Leagues of Votann community Discord itself. We'll make sure we throw that in some of the descriptions down below.
Yes.
And I'm joined here by my lovely pal, Dom. Dom, tell us about yourself.
You know, I'm just a simple man living in Queens, New York, with my 3 cats and my lovely partner. You know, just a mustached greaseball trying to make his way in the world. You know what I mean?
Wow. So humble too.
So my mother tells me I'm the most humble, cute boy she's ever seen. You know what I mean?
Wow. I'm often told being humble is one of my best traits.
My best traits. Yes. Wait, actually, before we get too deep into the units, into the meta, into the rosters, you just went to an RTT for a little bit ago, right?
I did. It was a glorious series of failures. So, a couple things that are important to note. I tried a new list, and the archetype that I was trying, we're actually going to talk about a little bit later. So I'm not going to spoil anyone just yet. But long story short, I ended up going 1 and 2. Hilariously.
Which is still fine, though, dude.
Dude, it's totally fine.
Even if you went 0 and 3, it's fine. You're playing with your plastic toys. You're having a good time. Yeah, you know.
That's the main thing. The gentleman that I played against, fantastic opponents. I played against someone that him and I have had a bit of a rivalry in the last couple RTTs. We've always been signed up against one another at some point. Great game with him, very close, only a 3-point spread. He eked out a victory with me with Necrons, fantastic. Even if he did have a Doomsday Arc, make every 4-up invuln save against 24 high-las shots for 2 turns straight, I could strangle him, but God, look at him. That's the most beautiful thing you could see. Dude. My second round opponent, he was playing Custodes. He was a returning player that hadn't played in 2 editions. We were talking it up the whole time. He was asking for feedback. It was great to be able to have that camaraderie with him. We were joking, talking wise. It was a great time. Then my third round, I eked out a win against Eldar, which is kind of what I built into. But we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But the main thing for me is I won Best Painted, which is pretty great.
I mean, dude, you know what? That's a reminder for this one. I forgot to do it last one. You know, what I need to do? I need to make notes while we go.
So for any of you that, again, if you listen to the first one or if you don't know me from before, I am a freak, and painting's one of my favorite things. So my goal with every event is to always try and be best overall. So I know I'm not always going to be the sweatiest dad, but by golly, I try to make sure that I show up with a really well painted army. In
Dude, your
fact,
stuff looks so it is so good.
listen, I'm pleased with what I do. I have a coworker. He's like one of the best Black Templar players on the planet. He shows us the stuff that he does, and we're always like, yeah, it's fine. You gotta make sure you keep him grounded.
You gotta,
But,
dude, you gotta keep your homies in check. You
oh,
know?
someone's gotta.
You
Yeah,
gotta keep
build
your
them
homies
up,
in
keep 'em
check.
down.
Exactly.
But that always feels good. Oftentimes, if I ever start sharing some of my GT lists, what I'll name my list in BCP when people pull up what's going on, I'll title it, "Even if you beat me, I still painted better than you."
Dude, that's
So
crispy.
try and make sure you're also keeping the enemies on a level playing field. But it was a
Surely.
great time. So, huge shout out to the Portal up in Manchester, Connecticut. Carol, she runs the New England Open format, which is the rule set we use for the greater part of New England. She does a phenomenal job. She's a new mother and set up a whole event for 32 people. She hand built and painted all of the terrain to meet GW standards. It was awesome. We are blessed to have her. So if anyone's in New England, if you've attended one of these events, you've no doubt heard whispers of the glory that is Carol.
That's awesome, dude. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I feel like RTTs are just so, I think this probably the most, like, I really enjoy doing majors and stuff, and I'm really excited. I have like a ton coming up, and I can't wait to travel and do all that stuff. But RTTs are just so great because you're with your buds, you're just playing. Like it can get sweaty, it could just be more fun. Like always just like it's not.
Awesome.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I also have one of those rivalries. He actually gave me. He messaged me at the first episode. And he goes, "Oh, the Orcane, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, it's a bit." He's like, "Is it a bit, Dom?" And I was like, "It's not a bit, Taylor. It's not a bit."
So, again, before we get any deeper, this is an interesting thing that I've noticed about my area, and I don't know if every little community has this. But my community in New England, we actually have a giant group Facebook chat. It has like 80 people in it, and
we have a
group,
WhatsApp.
Okay, well, yeah, that's fair, or like a Discord, right? But I find that Warhammer still has a bunch of boomers that use Facebook, so you end up having to use it to track events and talk to people. The only reason why I even have one. But we have this huge chat. So like all day long, everybody's just like showing off what they're painting, or you're talking about
shop and
Hammer article. It's great.
Yeah.
And when you go to these RTTs, you really get the opportunity to see these folks and interact. You'll have the group of guys, and undoubtedly in every event, you'll have a whole bunch of guys that go out and they get a little stoned between rounds. Good for them. They're having a good time. You get all the nerds like me that are hanging out inside, and we're just talking shop, and we can't wait to share the news because we have no one besides like our wives locally to talk to about it. And God knows they've already heard every theory about Sanguinius coming back. He's coming back. And it's just, you end up getting to go on all these fun little rants, man. It's a great time, and it doesn't always have that sometimes more ominous or serious tone that sometimes the GTs can have. Love RTTs.
Especially, there also is usually a more serious tone in the discords that you exist in that aren't as personal. I feel like with like the discords I'm in that are local, the WhatsApp big group I'm in that has like 100 of the local like very competitive players hanging and doing their thing. My cat walks in, just meows at me.
All right, mine's right here too. We both got distracted.
He's like, he just walks in, he looks at me, he's like, wow. And I'm like, do you want to get on my lap or not, bud? But I feel like they're always, those groups that aren't like your immediate friends in are always more serious because it's mostly people talking about like the more like hard competitiveness. Like even the WhatsApp group I'm in, which is a pretty competitive group, it's still just very personal because we're all just buds. Like, we all know each other. We all go to all the RGTs, do the local stuff together, blah, blah, blah. So, even if you're not into Votann and you're watching this channel and you play, like whatever, Sisters, Orcs, Space, whoever, like I would suggest if you're not in those like discussions, those, forums, whatever those may be, try to look those out because they're like a fountain of wealth, a fountain of wealth. Wait. A fountain of knowledge. Help me out. You're smarter than me. What's this saying?
It's a font.
They have a lot of knowledge, of collective knowledge, because it's always good to hear about other people's experiences, how they play this, and how that works, whatever. And hopefully we could be that today, going over some of these units. I hope so.
Yeah. So I mean, do we want to just segue right into some of the HQs?
Yeah,
See
you
what
know
we
what? Yeah, let's do HQ. How do you want to do it? You want to go like one for one? What do you think?
got? That's fair. Roll it out, then we'll talk about them.
Yeah, I'm gonna start us off with I think the Kahl, which, in my
Yeah.
opinion, you don't always have to take a call, but I think a call is one of our most important. Well, first off, we have like 12 units. All of our units are important units because we have so few. Like whether you like a unit or not, I think I want to preface that. Whether you like any of the units in this army, since there are so few, you can find a use case for almost any of them depending on where you're playing, who you're playing, what your local, what your global meta is, whatever that may be. You can find a use case for any of these units, I think.
Yeah, and
Hopefully,
I'll expand on that even further. If you have a unit that is generally an off-meta pick, but you love that unit,
yes,
you invested a bunch of
you
extra
know
time
how to
and you
play it.
customize the guys, there is a genuine psychological benefit to
Yes.
you having your pet unit that you're devoted in. You're going to try harder to make that work.
Yes.
Go for it,
Yes.
dude. Especially in this army, you're good. If you're like, hey, I just like this, power to you, brother. Go for it.
Especially
That's
if you know
awesome.
what's its pros and cons are. Like that Sisters player that has won the Tampa Open.
Yep.
Some of the weirdest units. That player who's like super fluffy, very narrative. Every unit in his army was named a custom name and like a custom order and all that stuff. Wasn't in any of the discords, none of the forums. Just some dude who was like, I'm in it. And my buddy who plays Sisters was like, we're trying. They tried to find him to add him to the Discord to be like, what were you doing? What were you thinking? Because he just taking shit that no one was. So if you like it, you know how to use it. You know like where to insert that scalpel when it's necessary, even if it's a unit that people aren't especially if they're not expecting it. Especially not expecting it, you can make it work.
Yep.
I think that's a very important caveat.
It's very easy to forget that at the end of the day, all of us are just pushing around plastic dollies. So, dude, just take the doll you like.
Exactly.
It's cool.
Exactly.
You'll make it work. All right, the Kahl. Hit me with it.
The Kahl. A couple very important things about the Kahl. The Kahl is a leader who can lead Hearthguard or everyone, Hearthguard, Einhyr Hearthguard.
Nice.
Or Hearthkyn. Shit, is it also Hearthkyn? Oh my god, I feel like an idiot. Hearthkyn Warriors.
Rotate back and forth, make the Europeans mad. Keep going.
It's Hearthkyn Warriors. Sorry, that's really disrespectful.
Nice.
I'm so sorry.
You're cool.
I'm so sorry.
British people. Okay, it's fine.
Can lead Hearthkyn Warriors or Einhyr Hearthguard, right?
Yep.
Can give lethal hits to the unit it's leading, including itself. Has the Grim Efficiency rule, where that's where we'll be giving out a judgment token in the command phase to a unit it can visibly see. There's no distance requirement. As long as it can physically see it, it can give it a judgment token. You can give it a couple war gear abilities. The Rampart Crest will get the 5-up invuln to the unit. Teleport Crest gives the unit the ability to Deep Strike, which at the end of this we'll say why you never do the Teleport Crest. The 2 range weapons, the Volkite Disintegrators, which we all know, and the Combi Bolter, which I feel like almost always I'm going Volkite. Even if the unit it's leading is not doing Volkite, I will always do Volkite on it just to get those extra dev wounds, because why not?
These days, yeah.
Yeah. The 2 melees, the Plasma Axe or the Mass Gauntlet. So I feel like the two melee ones deserve a very, and we don't have to go too full bore into every single unit's like stat line. I think some of them will require it. I think this one does. Very rarely am I finding myself taking the Plasma Axe on the call. I feel like the Mass Gauntlet, which is 3 attacks, weapon skill 3, strength 8, AP 2, 3 damage. There are so few 3 damage flat in our army.
Yep.
Except for maybe, Berserks, the missile launcher on the Sagitaur. So few 3 damage. I feel like 3 damage is so good, especially when we're looking at, and we're talking about metas, if we're looking at our Dark Angels, our Heavy Terminator, our, any Terminators rolling around. 3 damage is strong, very strong.
Yep,
so I find myself usually taking that, personally.
With his kit, not a whole lot to complain about.
Not.
I mean, like we said, giving that unit the 5-up invuln, it's great.
Yes.
Does it always come into account? Nope. But hey, when you have it, if you're playing against Thousand Suns, you're happy to have it.
Yes, very much
You're
so.
glad that it's there. The Teleport Crest to give things Deep Strike. We'll talk about why you don't need that before, but a use case for it that you could have made is, hey, if I'm attaching him to Warriors, maybe that's good. Might be good, but Warriors shrank from their unit size that we used to have in 9th. So they used to be 20-man blobs.
Dude,
now
can
in
you
10th,
imagine
down to
deep striking
10.
a 20-man blob?
There's a lot of things right now that
Man.
are like that it's like, man, if I could take 20 warriors with lethal hits, deep striking, that might be kind of sick.
Dude, that would
The
be
other
that would be
thing,
sick.
and it's a fix that I talked about before, but let's take a moment here just to notice Grim efficiency, right?
Yep.
The ability to hand out those tokens. One of the issues we had before they made the data slate changes that let us apply 2 tokens to 4 units, so a total of 8 tokens, was Votann's inability to apply tokens. I've often said, and will continue to say until they fix it, because it's the correct choice and it's what they should do, GW, all you have to do on Grim efficiency is change it so there is no line of sight chain.
Sure.
If they did that,
Which they
that
did in
means-
Kill Team. They did in
Yeah,
Kill Team. Funny
I
enough.
know.
Funny enough,
It-
they did in Kill Team. Yeah.
And when you do that, it works in Deep Strike. So when you have those calls in Deep Strike, they're still doing something. They're still generating
Truly.
tokens.
Yeah.
Your opponent can't hide from you. They're still putting them out there. And over the course of a game, you end up with more aggregate value than you would have had, but
Yes.
you're able to tier it. So it's not as exceedingly powerful at the start of the game,
Yes.
but over the course of the game, it's still there. It doesn't matter. That's just me speculating. I have to throw it out there to make sure you're thinking about it so you can tell GW and eventually I get my way. That's what I want.
That's what
Help me get this.
How
But-
Papa GP get his want?
Please. But I am a big Kahl fan.
I do not like not taking a call. I dislike not taking a call.
Sure.
I
I
always
think-
want to take a call.
Lethal hits, super useful. Even
Yes.
an army of ours, where we have generally pretty high strength, it comes up in a bunch of places. And we'll talk about those more when we get to those specific units, but there are
Yes.
areas where it's like, oh, it's kind of useful.
So useful. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost always taking
Alright,
that call, baby.
Anything else you want to call out about the call?
Do you want to call out the call? I don't think so. I think once we get into when we get to obviously Hearthguard, we can talk about why we're taking the call. But no, great lethal hits is good. Obviously giving out judgment's good. We need that always. We have so little of it. But yeah, nope, I don't think so. Oh,
right, I'm gonna take-
Binvol. Sorry, that's important because we
No,
only
you
have
got it.
literally 3 instances of that. No, technically 4 because the Then, hilariously enough, which we'll get into, the Then has it, but one of the few instances in an army that has an actual good invuln. Yes.
So I'll take the Einhyr Champion. Einhyr Champion, like to call him my little E-Champo. You're looking at a T6 2-up save
El
5
Champo.
wound model. Yeah, man. Natively, he doesn't have an invuln, but you can give him his Weave Field Crest for his War Gear abilities, which gives him a native 4-up invuln. Or you can take a Teleport Crest that gives the unit, if he's leading a unit, Deep Strike. Really important thing to notice here. People miss it all the time. The caveat to that ability. He has to be leading a unit.
Has to be leading everyone.
No, you may not take singleton champs and deep strike them. Doesn't work. He has to be attached to a unit, and he can only be attached to Einhyr Hearthguard. So if you want to take him and do that, you're looking at least 150 points. Normally at least 300 points for that full Hearthguard unit. He also has the Exemplar of the Einhyr rule, which means that if he's attached to a unit of Hearthguard, he lets them reroll charges. Again,
Has to be
only if he's rerolling, so he doesn't get that by himself
sad.
because that would have been too strong, I guess.
Big misplay, I think, on that end. There's no reason
Yep.
to have done that. There's so many
Yes.
models or leaders exist that you don't need to have them attached for their ability to work.
It's a weird one, especially because
Yeah.
in 9th, he acted as like an assassin. So
Yeah.
an Einhyr Champion could have been a great opportunity to give him like a lone
Loan
operative,
up. Oh
so he
my
could run around
god.
punching stuff. Nope, would have been too good. But his other rule is the Mass Driver Accelerators, which states each time the model ends a charge move, you can select one enemy unit with an engagement range on this unit and roll a d6. On a 2 to 5, they suffer d3 mortal wounds. On a 6, they suffer d3 plus 3. That's great.
Nice.
Out of phase mortals, almost always useful. It's going to do something. You'll probably kill a couple guys. Now, war gear wise, he's got a bolter. It sucks. You don't care. It's literally just 4 shots, strength 4, no AP, because it
Why
would've been too
would
good.
we have any AP in our army except for like 2 guns?
God only knows. And then he's got 2 melee weapons. Now here's the good thing. Both choices are good.
Yes.
You
Unlike
literally
at the
can't
call,
be
I
wrong.
think. Yes, agreed.
Yep, can't go wrong. So Darkstar Axe, 6 attacks, weapon skill 2, strength 6, AP 2, 2 damage. That's sick. He's out there chunking Space Marines
Yes.
by himself. It's actually a use case we'll talk about in a minute. And then you have the Mass Hammer. 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, 2s if you have tokens. Strength 12, AP2, D6 plus 1 damage. That's great.
So good.
It hits real hard. He's out there taking out tanks on his own.
Yes.
He's literally popping light transports like it's nobody's business. I think in general, I like the Einhyr Champion in 2 forms. And one of them is attached to Hearthguard. It's great. He does that. You deep strike in. He lets you reroll charges for a unit. He's going to give you some additional damage. That's awesome. But this is the way that you see a lot of us talking about using him that I think might even be better than that. And that's solo.
Yes.
You don't attach him to anything. You give him an axe or a hammer. Changes what you're doing. I like him with axes.
Yeah, solo I like with axe, yeah.
Yeah. And you just throw him in strat reserves. Turn 3 or so. Turn 2, either turn 2 you're bringing him on and he's hiding in a ruin somewhere, or turn 3 you're bringing him in the enemy deployment zone. And if you're playing against Space Marines, and if they have a unit just trying to hide on an objective, he's going to clear it out.
Yep.
They're not going to kill him. But he might kill them, especially if you have Warrior Pride and you're going to get that bonus 1 or 2 AP on those attacks. That might not even be taking saves, and they're just popping.
Yeah.
And a way that you can push that to be even higher is with the Wayfarer's Grace enhancement. Wayfarer's Grace is 25 points. If he dies, and when he dies, you roll a d6. On a 2 to a 6, so anything but a 1, he stands back up at full wounds. So you can either use him as clearing chaff with the axe, getting rid of small units. You can use him just to blitz out somewhere and just to do an action. It's like, hey, if you kill him, sick. He's standing back up and he's doing that action again.
And you got a token for doing it.
And you might not kill him.
Yeah. And you might actually not even kill him. Exactly.
Yeah,
he's beefy.
Because you're gonna have the Wheatfield crest. So he's T6, 2 up, 4 up in Vuln. He's a pretty beefy dude.
Yeah.
I like the E-Champ. I think he's pretty good.
Also, rarely do I not take one.
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy to go through lists and be like, oh, actually, if I just move this around a little bit, I can just take a solo champ.
Yes.
And he's just gonna do the business.
He does business.
And if they kill him, okay, that something else lived because they had to commit to him.
Yes, like please target that solo dude and not one of my million Sagitaurs or whatever, Yes. Great character.
What do we got next?
God, if only he had low knob, that'd be so nice.
I know.
Truly.
God, he'd be so sick.
The Brokir Iron Master, again, a funny character who you could either take with a unit, specifically the thunderkin, or take by himself. I've actually been following your path and taking him alone, hilariously enough.
He can technically also join Warriors. You could. You wouldn't, but you could.
Yes. I don't want to laugh at you saying that because you're just literally telling me a factual thing.
I know.
I can't ever think of a situation where I would, but yes, you're absolutely right. I actually forgot that he even could join Warriors because I was like, that's the silliest thing. Can join Thunderkin, yes. Usually where I find him at, but I have been doing him solo in a Sagitaur, but he has a couple little dudes with him. He has 3 of the ECOGs, and he has 1 Ironkin assistant. So the important thing to note here is only the Iron Master has the character keyword. So if you're being attacked with precision, you cannot allocate those precision damage to the ECOGs or the Ironkin assistant. It has to go to the Iron Master. Big misconception that is usually missed. Please make sure you're not accidentally cheating. Iron Master does not have a native invuln, which is kind of a bummer, but he does have a bunch of bodies with him. So if you're not being hit by precision, he does have a little bit of safety. Like some of our other guys, unfortunately, only a 4-up save. Toughness 5, like almost all of our infantry. Cool about the Iron Master. Iron Master gives +1 to hit to the unit he is leading.
Yep.
And he also can heal your vehicles or your thunderkin if he's within 3 inches of it. This is different from what we had in 9th edition, where he could revive models. I think. Can he revive thunderkin? He could. No,
I don't think so. He would heal them for D3 +1.
I thought he could revive.
There was an upgrade he could take through the council that let him do something else, but I don't think.
He could blank saves. He could blank saves.
Yeah, he could zero out damage.
Yeah, he could zero out damage, which was tight. No, but so at the end of movement, the Brokir's Guild ability, the end of movement, if he's within a vehicle or thunderkin within 3 inches of him, he could heal them. He could heal them for D3, but if he has An Ironkin Assistant, it's a flat 3, which is really nice for Thunderkin because those are 3 wound bodies, which is really nice.
Yep. Now,
He,
there's 2 things to call out on those abilities,
to call
though.
out.
The first one, does that +1 to hit stack with our tokens?
Don't you
Oh,
wish?
darn, it doesn't.
Don't
Yeah,
you wish it
no,
was
doesn't.
BS +1?
Yeah, so pretty much all the time that's worthless, but that repair, it's worth calling out the sequencing there. That's at the end of the movement phase. That means that you can disembark from a transport or move and then pop out and still repair things.
Yes.
So if you throw them in a Sagitaur, Sagitaur has blistering advance. You can move, advance the Sagitaur, pop out, and still repair at the end. So if
Yes.
you can just zip away on your little buggy and repair it if you take a solo one. I took one. It was okay.
Yeah.
It's a thing that you can do. I'm not saying you
Right.
should do it, but it's worth noting.
But it
It's an
exists.
ability you have. Yeah,
Yes.
it's out of phase abilities that you just have the ability to do. It's pretty good.
Yeah. He has 2. His range weapon. There's a couple. It's funny. There's a couple like his Ecogs and his Ironkin Assistant. They have some pot shot stuff, which we don't need to get into. But he does also have the Graviton. He has a Graviton rifle. He doesn't have Graviton Blast like the Thunderkin, but he has a Graviton rifle. 3 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 5, AP 1, flat 3 damage. Again, one of the few flat 3 damages. Anti-vehicle 2-up. Monstrous against vehicles. So nice. And he also has the same ability with his Graviton Hammer. Weapon skill 4, strength 9, AP 1, flat 3 damage. Again, anti-vehicle 2-up. Huge. Another great, dude, a great Warrior Pride recipient. You're turning his 3 attack, strength 9, anti-vehicle 2 into AP 3, possibly 3 damage. You're turning the hilarious Plasma Torch, the 1-shot, strength 6, AP 3, 2 damage. You could turn that to strength 6, AP 5, 2 damage, which is just silly. Like, it's silly, right?
I did that at my RTT into a unit of 2 destroyers.
Dude, I love
I had
it.
2 destroyers that got too close. I just charged my Forge Master in, and with 2 tokens on them that they had just gotten, because that was my trash unit I picked, right? I charged in 3 attacks with him. You got the 4 attacks from the other guys, and then the Plasma Torch. I killed the destroyers.
Yes.
Because it was AP 3.
Dude.
They just 3 damage.
Isn't that funny?
From those attacks.
It's so silly.
And then the Plasma Torch. They just died.
A great little dude. I for a bit I was doing him attached to a 6-man Thunderkin, which felt nice. I am a little off Thunderkin these days, but in a second we'll get to that. But I think the Iron Master still has play regardless attached or not. I think there is use. Just don't expect him to survive.
Yeah, and with Thunderkin, that lets you do things like split your shots. You don't have to be shooting at just the marked target. You can split things across. You can hit 2 vehicles at once if only one of them has tokens.
Exactly.
It's a thing. You can do it. It's totally fine.
Yep.
All right. Let me take the next one. I'm gonna take old Papa Grimnir. So Grimnir is an interesting one. We are looking at a toughness 5, 4-up save, 4-up invuln unit that has 2 accompanying Corvs. Corvs, again, T5, 1 wound to pop. They still have that 4-up invuln. And you're looking at the 2 following abilities. The first one, Fortify. While that model is leading a unit, which you can lead Hearthkyn Warriors. But while it's leading a unit, you improve the toughness by 1. Golly, that would be great with Hearthguard. Pushing those to toughness 7. Dude. Can't be wounded anything higher than T7. You're trying to shoot a las cannon into a unit of Hearthguard. It's only wounding on 4s. That's kind of cool. No, you don't get that. No. It's also worth noting that in the lore, Einhyr Hearthguard are the bodyguards of Grimnir, but on the table aren't allowed to be the bodyguards of Grimnir. It's fine.
Dude, the Christmas box has Grimnir and Hearthguard, and it says the Hearthguard can get in your tank, and the Grimnir leading the Hearthguard. Grimnir's can't lead Hearthguard. A unit of 10 Hearthguard can't go inside of a tank. It is so funny.
Yeah, they're trying. But that box is hilariously on point because there are a couple things you can do with a Grimnir. Now, he has, as far as guns, he has 1 gun. Again, it's just a 2-shot bolter, but he's got his mind bullets. So his psychic powers, You have a 24-inch 3-shot psychic. It's on hitting on 2s, strength 6, AP2, D3 damage, or you can pump that up with the overpowered Ancestral Wrath, the focused one, which makes it hazardous, but it's 6 shots.
Yes.
You're looking at hitting on 2s, strength 6, AP2,
Pretty
D3
strong
damage. It's honestly, it's totally fine.
Yes.
It's like you're rolling hazardous. You're only going to take 3 wounds if you roll a 1.
Yes.
And even then, you're looking at across the history of a game, maybe you'll take like 1 failure statistically.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't happen again. If you do, he's probably dead by that time anyway.
Right. He's done his deed, hopefully, by then.
Yeah. But what he does is he does allow you to take a Sagitaur. And the Forge Masters are the same way. They do allow you to put them in a Sagitaur, and you can take them solo, similar to the Champion. Now, the use case of each of them, a solo Iron Master in a Sagitaur allows you to repair it. That's fine. Like we mentioned, there's some very niche melee usage, but a Grimnir lets you have some shooting and that 4-up invuln.
Yes.
Now, in the list I'm taking to my GT in 2 weeks, I'm using 2 solo Grimnir.
Whoa. Okay, Siegler.
Yeah, listen, 65 points each. That's the cheapest I can pay for 1 unit to go inside of a Sagitaur. They offer some pretty decent shooting. With a token on something, I'm hitting almost every viable target that's not a knight or a land raider on at least 3s or 4s for wounding at AP2, D3 damage. Otherwise, it can just run out, do some actions.
Yeah.
It doesn't have OC to speak of, but it can shoot. It can take out Marines.
Yes.
Like before, or it can add some additional damage to a transport. It's pretty good.
I think also another use case for what could have or should have gotten loaned up.
Yeah, it's just undoubtedly it should have if it was within range of infantry, right? Give it the old lion or Gulliman treatment where they have the ability to be loan up if they're near something.
Yeah.
But it has one other thing, and that's the Grimnir's Regard, where once per battle, if it fails a battle shock test, it can use that ability and instantly no longer be battle shocked. So if you have it on a point and you're playing against Tyranids, you're playing against Chaos Knights, and they're like, hey, oopsies, you're battle shocked, you don't have any OC on that anymore, you just go, no. And they can just do it again.
Sorry,
That's
you're wrong.
fine.
Yeah.
And similar to the Einhyr Champion, you'll see that some players are putting Wayfarer's Grace on it because it makes it a very beefy little unit that you're not going to battle shock. It's not super likely you're going to kill it unless you're throwing something worthwhile into it, which feels bad for your opponent.
Yeah.
It's got its places. I used to poo-poo all over the Grimnir, but honestly, it's pretty good. It's just fine.
Definitely not poo-poo. Definitely not poo-poo.
Yeah, it's not poo-poo.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
We got one. Speaking of not poo-poo, we got one character left.
I still think he's fucking poo-poo. Sorry, that's my one and only F word for this video. I know we're not technically
it's fine.
safe for work.
I won't tell the FCC. And that's Mr. Uthar, right?
I have tried to make Uthar the Destined work so many times, and I just can't. Uthar the Destined, in my opinion, one of the coolest models in this game outside of our range. I think Uthar is such a cool
head,
dude. I mean, it's gonna be me in like 20 years. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
I'm pretty much I am Uthar. If Uthar was Italian, you know.
Nice.
Just saying.
Well, spiritually,
exactly.
Yeah, he's there.
Uthar the Destined, a 4-up invuln, our only named character. A toughness 5, like almost all of our infantry. Base saver 3, 4-up invuln, 5 wounds. The hilarious ability. Once per turn, you could turn a hit or wound roll to a 6 for this model. It used to say damage. Now, it doesn't own any guns or melee that could have been 6. They got rid of the damage roll because there was literally no point to have it.
Used to be able to do it for other things.
Yes.
Which made him sick.
Domini Pati Sputus Sanctus, sorry.
Yeah, now it's.
But you know, he has 2 weapons that both have dev wounds. So even if you're not getting any 6s, it's kind of nice just to throw a 6 on a wound and just get a couple of wounds on, like a couple unsavable wounds, right? That's nice because they're both. Well, no, that's not true. The Volkite's 1 damage, but his melee weapon is pretty nice. It's 5 attacks, weapon skill 2, strength 6, AP 3, 2 damage, dev wounds. Blade of the Ancestors. What a tight name, dude. What a cool model. God.
It's honestly great. And again, you're talking Warrior Pride on this. AP 5,
Dude,
dev
5.
wounds.
Yeah, it's pretty
Pretty
nasty.
good.
It's pretty
guys.
nasty.
It's pretty good.
Also has also has Grim Efficiencies, giving out a token in the command phase. Note, if you have more than one call, this does not stack anymore. Very important. If you have more than one call, you can't give multiple tokens out in the command phase via Grim Efficiency.
Yeah.
Also has the Destined. Probably, in my opinion, the best thing about Uthar the Destined. All damage against Uthar the Destined changed the damage characteristic of that attack to 1.
Yep.
Now, you know why that's good now? And maybe actually this is something we'll talk about at the end. The newest Q&A that just came out for the game is adopting the UK TC rules, where if you have a unit that ignores the modifiers to a model, it is only for things that are rollable. So if you are attacking with a Death Star and you have an ability like you're doing a mirror match and you have Grim Efficiency on a model, Uthar ignores that because you're not rolling unless no, you get it because you're not rolling a damage roll. Actually, would that actually change if you are rolling the damage roll? I never asked that question.
The whole thing is so convoluted, and even then, GW's like, who knows? It's official. Truly. It's not official. It's these really unofficial Games Workshop World Championship of Warhammer 40k tournaments.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, very true, very true. But all damage against Uthar is turned to 1, which is insane, dude. Insane. Yep. Like, yeah, it's truly nice. Also, the Rampart Crest, you can't give him the ability to give him the Teleport Crest, always Rampart. You can add him to, again, Einhyr Hearthguard or Hearthkyn Warriors. A lot of people have been enjoying taking Uthar for various reasons, either adding him to some melee warriors, which, hilariously enough, gives him a little bit of kind of like Berserk-esque ability with some melee, taking solo Uthar, depending if you want to throw him in a Sagitaur, you want to run him around. He kind of is a little beat stick, you know?
Yeah.
He's tanky, has some good melee. Volkite, you know, Volkite's Volkite. It can do something or not. But he could live. He could live and he could slap. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that, you know, Dom and I are pretty upfront. We're not taking him right now. But
I've tried.
You can kind of build a better Berserk unit with him. You can take Uthar, you can attach him to a unit of 5 warriors. You put 3 melee weapons, a meta pack, and a comms unit in there. You're talking 6 attacks, strength 5, AP 2, 2 damage, and then 5 attacks, strength 6, AP 3, 2 damage, dev wounds.
Dude, that sounds good.
It's a
6 up, feel no pain.
Yes.
Yeah. The ability to get you throw that warrior part of the unit, ability to get that back on a 5 up with comms. Like
145 points for that little unit. You're gonna have a Thane with a 4 up invuln too.
Yes.
You know, they can all fit in a Sagitaur together. If someone tries to kill them and fails, you can use the stratagem to put 2 tokens on the enemy unit that tried to take them out that Uthar was just like, no, and took like 3 damage from. He's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. If you're looking to maybe add 1 unit of Berserks, but you have a couple points to play with, maybe instead you just want to turn a unit of warriors into pseudo Berserks by throwing Uthar in them.
I did, hilariously enough, have him and Warriors kill a War Dog once, and that was just nice. That felt great. That felt good by itself. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I personally am a very aggressive player. Too aggressive. I have no chill. Which, like, if you know that about me and you play against me, you know how to beat me already because you know I'm just gonna be like, here's everything. But that's my problem with Uthar.
I get it.
Yeah, exactly. That was my problem with Uthar, is I was not playing him smart. I was not, as Cooper would say, I was not playing him right. Nice. So, Uthar, if you can make him work, more power to you. Personally, I've not, but one of the truly one of the coolest models that we have. Really, really nice model altogether. But that's it for our characters, which, quite frankly, we're a little spoiled, dude. We don't have many units in our army, but I feel like all of our characters are good and have a use case. All of them, regardless.
There's a spot for everything.
Yes, exactly.
Yep. So I'll take our only battle line unit. It's just the one, and that's the Hearthkyn Warriors. So Hearthkyn Warriors are perfect little short kings. you're looking at a stat spread of 10 baseline models that are T5, 4 up save, 1 wound apiece, 7 up leadership, kind of rough, but OC2 on each model. Previously, you'd have to pay for all the separate war gear. Now it's baked in. It's kind of one of those scenarios for Votann where you kind of wish you still paid for it because you'd probably get them for cheaper because you wouldn't really use it, but they have a bunch of war gear abilities. So the Thane, who's the Sergeant equivalent, he's got a 4-up invuln. That comes up sometimes.
Yeah.
You have a meta pack to give the whole unit a 6-up feel no pain. That's useful. Before that used to revive a guy and also blank out a damage. That was also good, but the 6-up feel no pain can spike. It happens.
Yeah.
You get a comms array. You use a strat on that unit. On a 5-up, you get a CP back. Okay. And then a scanner, which gives the unit ignore cover. Here's the deal. When it comes to warriors, it's also worth noting they also give you sticky objectives. That comes up all the time. That's super useful. It's great.
Yes.
With warriors specifically, you're not taking units of 10. Let's be real.
Yep.
You're paying for units of 10, and then you're splitting those in half with Sagitaurs. You're either putting 5 Naked Boys on the table and then 5 in a Sagitaur, or you're putting 5 and 5 each in their own separate little dune buggy. That's awesome. For 110 points,
huge.
They're some of the cheapest little idiots. They are never going to kill anything. They are friggin' terrible. They're worthless. Don't look at them. Don't try and do anything. It means nothing. But for doing actions and for jumping on objectives, they're sick.
Sick.
If Marines had these, they'd be crazy.
Yes.
They'd probably also be cheaper and better. But there are 2 different ways for you to build your Hearthkyn Warriors most of the time. That's either ranged or, honestly, the melee build. The melee build, you're going to put in 3 melee weapons. We've talked about this before, each one being strength 5, AP 2, 2 damage, weapon skill 4 with tokens. You're hitting on 3s.
2 attacks each instead of the 1 attacks natively.
2 attacks each.
Yep.
It does something.
Yep.
So you're talking about the unit of 5. You can get 6 attacks, then the 2 normal attacks. You can throw a grenade on the unit. They're going to do a decent amount of damage to something that people don't always expect.
Yep.
Or you go the ranged route, which typically involves you taking one of several ranged weapons. Take 1,
which will never do anything, just a heads up.
Yes. So you'll take the high las auto rifle, which is an assault, rapid fire 3 shot, weapon skill 4, strength 6, AP 1, 1 damage gun. Cool. It's never going to kill anything.
Never going to kill anything.
It's an assault gun, so you can move, advance, and do stuff. That's useful. For the second gun, whatever you want. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I used to always take an auto rifle and a magna reel cannon. I literally never killed anything in 2 months. Just nothing. It doesn't ever hit, doesn't ever wound. It's all like 1 AP or hitting on a 5. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
You're taking these guys to do stuff. And honestly, on little 28 mil bases doing stuff, they're going to do it.
They do it. Spoiler alert, folks. They do it.
Yeah.
Even if doing it is just dying. Even if dying is just what you want to do, they do it.
They definitely do
They
that.
definitely do that.
I wish I could take 20-man units.
Oh my God.
If there's anything I can hope, it's that GW brings back 20-man units of warriors. I want the Dwarven Tide. People talk about all the time about worrying that this is a horde army. It's not. I play Gene Stealer Cult. You have no idea what you're talking about. I'll show you a horde army. I'll post pictures of it.
Have you played against GSC? Yeah.
I'm a freak. We'll talk about this all the time. I'll remind you every week. I'm a freak. I own 120 warriors. I'd love to take 120 warriors for no purpose other than to intimidate the enemy.
Wouldn't that be insane?
It'd be sick, especially because
would it be too good?
I honestly don't even think it would. No.
Do wait, deep striking with a Kahl? You don't think so?
I think you could do it, 3 times with units? That could be okay. But even now, we don't see Invasion Fleet Tyranids, despite those regrowing being a thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, that does lead me to think that maybe GW gives us 20 mans. We get a unit of warriors that are regrowing. That could be cool.
Dude.
Who knows? But it's something I'd like to see. Just so we have the option. It used to be cool to have a couple units of buffed up warriors. 20 man, you put a Kahl in there, you get some bonus shots, get some tokens out. They do something.
Yeah.
Now they just die. Again, they're great at it. I'd like to see myself doing more with them.
No, yeah, fair. I think there was a list, now that I think about it, that did well not too long ago, was in the top 10 of something that actually took no warriors.
Yeah.
I don't think you, I really don't think that you can, I think that was kind of, I don't want to say this disparagingly, I think it was a little bit of a fluke. I think you always need at least one unit warriors and a couple Sagitaurs to break them up. They're just so helpful to do some actions, sit on some points, keep a backfield, keep.
I wouldn't go home.
Yeah.
I wouldn't leave home without at least 10.
Yeah, truly. I think
one
they're,
unit.
yeah.
All right, what's our dedicated transport? Tell me about it.
Our dedicated transport is the one and only Sagitaur, which I don't know. I don't know if it's trendy or not to take a bunch of them. I don't care what it is. I think one of the best things about our army is the fact that we have the ability to split our battle line, to scout 6, to have a 12-inch move, to be able to advance and get people out. They can't charge, but to advance and get them out normally. And on top of that, to have a couple good guns on it. I think that is actually insane to have on a 100-point model. That is 9 wounds T10 OC3.
I was gonna say, help me finish here, Dom. We're talking 12-inch move, T10, 3-up save, 9 wounds. Hold on, what's the OC on that bad boy? It's got to be 1.
That's 3, buddy.
It's 3.
It's 3.
It's amazing.
It's probably undercosted. It's probably undercosted. I don't want to say it. It was 120. They knocked 20 points off. It probably should be like 110 or 115 at least.
Yep, that's fine. I mean, honestly,
so good.
I'm in one of those situations where I wouldn't mind seeing a Sagitaur go back to 120, but reduce warriors. Make me do less degenerate nonsense. I don't want to take solo Grimnirs.
Sure.
If you make warriors 100 points instead of 115 or 110,
no, that's fair.
You make Sagitaurs more. That's fine.
That's very fair. I think that's a fair trade-off.
Makes more sense. You don't take these solo characters, but the Sagitaur is a bucket of value. What's it do?
Here's a couple of very important traits. Very important traits. For one, it has a base save of 3, which almost all of our guys have a base save of 4 natively, except for some of obviously our Hearthguard, our Hekaton, which we'll get to in a second. Base save of 3, almost everything else is 4. Besides it advancing and discarding, I think, and our splitting, it is important to note that it could fit 6 models. It cannot fit exo armor or exo frame models. You cannot put thunderkin or Einhyr inside of it. You cannot.
Yep.
Very important note.
Too fat.
Too fat. You can put a Brokir Ironmaster in it because Homeboy has five models in a unit, which is hilarious. Yep. You can put Uthar and 5 warriors in it, 6 models. Infantry.
Yep.
It's guns, which I find myself hopping to all. There's no rhyme or reason why I want to take one or the other, and maybe someone better than me could tell me that at some point. But we have a couple options. We have the high las beam cannon, sustain hits D3, which almost all of our beams have that, which is a very funny. Not very many instances in the game exist of sustain hits D3 specifically. 2 attacks, 24-inch range, BS4, strength 12, AP3, D6 damage. I remember you wrote up a very funny thing on Reddit where you could either do a whopping 0 damage or you could do 64 damage with this one gun alone, which is so funny.
It's the ultimate casino gun. And yeah, I did. I made a huge post about it showing the variants. It's very funny because with each shot, and mind you, there's 2 shots each. Folks, I'm going to throw some math at you. There's a 40% chance you do nothing. It either misses or doesn't wound. It does nothing.
Yes.
Okay. Then there's a 45% chance that you hit it and you wound it on average like 2.5, 3 damage.
Yeah.
Okay. Pretty good. Now, in that remaining 5%, you have a chance to spike between 1 and 54 damage or something crazy. It can do
funny.
anything.
It's so funny.
I hit a Caladius. I wounded it 5 times. It saved half of them and then minus it all and only ended up taking like 4 damage. But I wounded it 5 times.
It happened,
by
baby.
golly, with 1 activation.
Yeah.
They can go nuts.
This
It's
probably one of the
very funny.
swingiest games or swingiest guns in the game. I would almost
For no
certainly.
reason.
Yeah.
It shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
Just
The
make it better.
missile options, which are this, or I feel like you're gonna flop between the beam and the missile.
Yep.
You take two missiles. It's the L7 and the Sagitaur missile launcher that you take them together. The L7 has a split, one attack, straight 9 AP2, D6 damage, or D6 attacks for the blast, which you're never gonna do because it's D6 attacks, strength 4, 0 AP, 1 damage. Never, even if I'm going against a horde, I'm probably not taking. I'm not doing the blast. Like, when am I ever doing that?
I'll just shoot something different at it.
Right. And then the other missile launcher attached to it is the Sagitaur missile launcher. 2 attacks, strength 12, AP 3, 3 damage. I find myself almost always going a mixture. I take a minimum usually of 5 Sagitaur, sometimes 6. 3 beam and anywhere between 2 to 3 missiles, depending.
Yeah.
The Sagitaur missile has a 36-inch range over the 24-inch range of the beam. Pretty good if you want to get, like, if we start seeing more Templars with, repulsors or destroyers, whatever the hell their tanks are, might want to get some of those in because of the range. Like, they're going to sit back a little further. Guard, whatever, like Night Spinners, you might want to get that range, I think that's probably what you'll see, why you take that missile. And then the Matter autocannon, you're never taking it. So I'm sorry, there's no.
You used to take it in 9th.
Oh,
you're not
yes.
gonna take it now.
You're not gonna take it now. 6 attacks, strength 7, AP 1, 2 damage. Awesome. There is no ignoring cover on it, so that's probably the only way I'd ever take the Matter if it had like a comms on, or not a comms, a scanner on
God,
it.
if we could ignore cover. If we could ignore cover, it'd be so good.
But I think, in my opinion, one of the auto takes of our.
It's got the twin bolt cannon too, right?
Oh yeah, sorry, yes. Also one of the few instances of re-rolling anything in our army. Twin bolt cannon, 3 attacks, then it's 1. Twin linked, strength 6, AP 1, 2 damage. Really nice.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
it does something, right?
Yep.
So, yes, it's one of those things where you're always going to be torn between the beam and the missiles.
Yes.
Here's the reality for it. People are going to tell you all over the place. Statistically, they're like dead even.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The beam, because it has the capacity to spike, can theoretically do more damage.
True.
Now, if you're someone like some of our friends like Danny in the Discord that like can't roll a 6 and you'll never see it in a whole event.
Yeah, no beams.
The missiles might just feel more consistent to you.
Yeah.
And if that feels better for you, do that.
Yes.
I play between 5 and 6 Sagitaurs as well. Normally I go 4 and 2. So I'll do 4 high las, 2 missiles. If that's what works, sick. And my last event, I went all 5 high las. I was never out of range. I'm super aggressive with my Sagitaurs.
Yeah, you're never gonna be even if you're not aggressive, you're almost never gonna be out of range because you're gonna have that scout and you're gonna have a crazy movement. Like, even if you're playing cagey, you're gonna be on the board. You're gonna have board presence. You're gonna have 24 inches somewhere.
Yeah, turn 1, it's a 40-inch range because you're gonna scout, move. You're fine. It's 42 inches. You're gonna find something to shoot.
Truly,
it's great. Everything about the Sagitaur is great. I love them to death. The model itself, fantastic. It's the best.
Speaking of, in my opinion, our next auto take, if you want to go into our sweet stubby boys, the Einhyr Hearthguard.
I will.
Dude, I thought you were about to give me a chef's kiss on that one.
No, I had to move the mustache to make sure I was not impeded for this.
But also, right, there's 0 impeded, but also, chef's kiss on the Hearthguard.
Perfect. Yes. So, Einhyr Hearthguard, one of the backbones of this army right now. You're looking at a unit composition of between 5 with a Hesir, which is the Sergeant equivalent, and then 4 9 additional models. 150 for 5, 300 for 10. They have 2 war gear abilities. The first one, Teleport Crest, which gives the models in the unit that deep strike ability. We mentioned before that the champion or the Kahl could take the Teleport Crest. This is why you don't. This unit just takes it and you're fine. Because alternatively, they can take a Weave Field Crest, which gives their Sergeant a 4-up invuln. Who cares? Just have the 5-up for everyone.
Yes.
They have the fantastic ability of Oathbound Bodyguard, which is while a character's leading that unit, each time an attack targets that unit, if the strength is higher than their toughness, so we're looking at strength 7 natively, you subtract 1 from the wound roll.
Dude,
that means most things are wounding them on 4s. They're beefy.
You're never wounding on 2s against them. Never.
Yeah.
Not possible.
No, it's impossible. Mm-hmm. And then stat-wise, looking at 5-inch move, they're slow, whatever. T6, 2-up save, 2 wounds, leadership 7, OC 1. Here's the deal. 2 wounds, It should be higher. It should be higher. They
Or
should
at
probably have
least
three.
-1 damage if it's not higher
Yeah,
than
or
wounds.
-1 damage. They used to have that,
Yeah.
but it's deceptive because if you're in cover and you are popping our Void Armor Stratagem, you're subtracting their AP by 2.
Dude.
You're looking at, in most circumstances, you're just shrugging off attacks. You don't care. You love it. You're just taking it. And then you have some ranged weapon options. And here's the deal, folks. They're all good. I don't care
All of
what
them.
configuration you choose to take it in. As long as you have Hearthguard, they are succeeding at something.
Yes.
So you can take the plasma guns. I never take plasma guns. Personal choice. They are a 24-inch range, 1 shot apiece, hitting on 3s, 2s with the token. Strength 8, AP 3, 2 damage. 10 guys with that? Okay, totally fine. You're doing some work. If you have Grim Demeanor, you're ignoring Armor of Contempt. You're ignoring -1 damage, potentially. It's useful. It has its place. There's nothing wrong with that. But you can take my favorite special little gun, Daddy's favorite little pot shot, the Vulcanite Disintegrator, folks. Let me give you a sales pitch on this little dandy. A Vulcanite Disintegrators coming in with devastating wounds, a range of 18 inches, 3 shots each, hitting on 3s, strength 5, AP 0, 1 damage. On a unit of 10 Einhyr Hearthguard, including a Kahl, you're looking at 33 shots with devastating wounds. A couple things to keep in mind. Mathematically, it feels weird to add lethal hits to this unit. It feels weird, but it is exclusively a net benefit.
Yes.
We talked about it in the previous episode. But we also have a stratagem. Stratagem that gives you sustained hits 2 on all your 6s in the shooting phase. Vulcanite with 33 shots can go absolutely bonkers.
8.
When you're counting lethal hits and sustained hits too, then you're confirming to wound with +1 to hit and wound. It's also worth noting, mass rate of fire with AP 0 is like low key for all the zoomers out there. Pretty lit.
Yes.
Because
not
if they are,
mid. Not mid.
It's not mid, very high key good. Because if you have a 3-up save and they're in cover, it's not being improved.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
You don't care.
Yeah.
You just shred them. It's like, listen, brother, take variants. I don't care. You got Terminators,
Yeah.
17% chance. Roll some 1s, idiot.
Yeah.
They're just gonna die.
And with Ancestral Sentence, every lethal is 2 additional hits you're rolling a wound on to try to get that dev wound on.
I had an event. I rolled 33 hits. I confirmed 52 Volkite hits, which turned into 12 devastating wounds.
That's insane.
Yep, you can just spike. And on top of that, you have the Exo Armor Grenade Launcher. 18 inches, D6 hits, BS3, Strength 4, AP 0, 1 damage. Same thing, but it's like 2 to 4 times as many shots.
Yes.
Also with sustained, the most time you're going to spend playing Votann, the thing that's going to eat up the most time in your round is rolling for these units.
Yes.
And it's always satisfying. I'm sitting there trying to fit my mountains of dice in my big meaty claws going, you pigs, stop falling out. Well, my opponent's just like, oh, okay, you're done with that. And I'm like, no,
that was half of it.
That was only half of the dice.
Sorry, bud. Yeah, no disrespect.
And again, it's AP 0. It does so much. And if you're looking at chaff, you're just clearing it out.
Yes.
It's worth noting that a Grim Demeanor Kahl attached to a unit of 10 Einhyr Hearthguard with Volkite and grenades, overkill through Crypto Thralls, through characters, through enhancements, a full unit of Necron Warriors.
Yes.
They're insane.
Not many can boast to do that.
Yep, there's like 3 units in the entire game.
Yeah.
This is 1. It's incredible all the time. Also worth noting, lethal hits in Overwatch, all of those shots, statistically to units of 20 up, if they have a 5-up save, you're killing like 12 guys in Overwatch.
Yeah.
Very good.
Nasty.
Now in Melee, they're no slouches either. You have the Concussion Gauntlet, 2 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 9, AP 2, 2 damage. Pretty good. You'll take the Hammer on the Hessier, the Sergeant, 3 attacks, hitting on 4, strength 9, AP 1, flat 3 damage. Pretty good. Or you can take the Plasma Blades, 3 attacks, strength 6, AP 2, 1 damage. So just fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
Build them however you want. I like fists.
Yes.
Fists are inarguably better into most things, but whatever. it's just good.
It's just good. It's good. It's good at the end of the day. I was a plasma advocate for the longest time. I thought plasma did a lot of strong stuff. With this new Q&A, if this ends up becoming widespread in competitive America tournaments, unfortunately, we're missing out on ignoring -1 damage. We're missing out on ignoring halving damage. We're missing out on armor contempt. We're missing out on a lot of, or ignoring armor contempt, I should say. Sorry, we're missing out on some strong things. It makes plasma feel not as good. Whereas if we do the Volkite, we're having that volume. Volume is king, baby. Volume will almost always be king.
Yep, it just does it. All right, so we got the Hearthguard. What do you want to take next?
Well, okay, so there's one more, I think, very important thing, and the last two we can kind of go over. I don't want to say we don't have to go as in depth, only because they're still important if you know and like how to play them. But the last, I think, important one is our Hearthkyn Pioneers. Still, I think, one of the most important units we had in 9th. I still think one of the most important units we have in 10th. They are our mounted, now they're called. They're our little biker boys, biker rats from Mars. Did you ever watch that? Yo, that show was tight. That was a great show.
Good.
Hearthkyn Pioneers are our mounted cavalry, not cavalry, just mounted. Movement 12, Scout 9, T6, base A4, which sucks, but 3 wound, 4 if you have a special gunner. Leadership 7, OC2 bikers. Huge. Scout 9, 12-inch move. Let me say that one more time. Scout 9, 12-inch move. With fly. Fly's not as good anymore, but still, you are moving, baby. You're moving. Crazy movement. You could take special on them like you can on your warriors. Comms array, where you're getting your CP on a 5-up if you do a stratagem on them. Scanner, you're ignoring cover. And your searchlight, which is different than the warriors. The searchlight allows you to ignore, or no, not ignore stealth. If you're shooting against stealth, you add 1 to the hit roll. So still
counteract it. It's good.
Exactly. You counteract it. Exactly. So in a way, it kind of ignores it unless you're stacking things. But the biggest deal with them, though, is that they have the outflanking mag riders. I know I said Scout 9, 12-inch move. That may sound like the biggest deal. I don't think so. They have the ability that at the end of your opponent's turn, if this unit was within I almost messed that up. If your unit was within 6 inches of any battlefield edge, it is not within engagement range of enemy units, you can move them from the battlefield and place them in the strategic reserves. It does not say holy. They don't need a holy. You could have your little boy touching right into that edge, and baby, you'll be able to put him in reserve. Super strong if you're going against someone with a lot of deep strike, the ability to pick up and teleport models. If you like a big footprint, you are able to screen like nobody's business when they end that turn. Screen your own backfield. When your opponent ends, put him in reserves, baby. Move him. Get him out of there. You could bring him out later into a better position. Insane ability. Not to mention good guns. Good guns.
Really? Like
a lot of volume.
Good guns.
Yes. 2 shotgun shots each. 3-shot Magna Quill autocannons each, strength 7, AP 1, 2 damage, and then you're almost always going to give them either the rotary cannon or the beamer. Rotary cannon's a little better. You got the Sanit's 1, 6 attacks, strength 6, AP 1, 1 damage, ignoring cover. The AP 1 comes into play. So units at 3 or 6, and you're going to look at either taking 3 normally just to get around the board, do some backfield stuff, capture some points. Take 6, you want to be a little more aggressive. You're playing against Eldar. You want to move up on the board and really get some shots in. A very important unit for the army.
Yeah, they're incredible. I always take at least 3x3. Same loadout before, like we mentioned. They're just some of the best action monkeys in the game. You'll find that in some lists these days, people are pumping these into an offensive unit. We'll get into that more when we talk about meta-specific choices, but God, I love the Pioneers.
How could you not? I can't imagine not taking Pioneers.
The only negative thing about Pioneers is building them and painting them.
Yes.
The little rock, listen, if GW or someone who works at GW could tell me who designed the little rock that they all go in, that every single Hearthkyn Pioneer breaks off of, I would like to meet this person and attach their house to it.
This is what I did. I actually got the flying stand. Oh God.
Yeah. See,
I
even that's sturdier.
I broke off the flying stand of what it was and put magnets on it for when I transport. So much better.
Yeah.
It's the same height, not cheating, Cooper. Don't call me out. It's the same height.
No,
I
it's
measured
fine.
it. But so much better than that stupid rock they attached to.
Yep. All right, I'm going to take the Hekaton Land Fortress. The beloved train of people. This is the only train we're ever going to get. Don't ask for the train. The train is cringe.
It does. It does have an attachment on the back of it.
It's got a hook. That's as good as we're going to get. Now, here's the Land Fort. Land Fort's got a great stat spread. You're looking at 10-inch move. Honestly, for its size, that's fast. T12.
Truly.
Sick. 2-up save, 16 wounds, OC 5. Great stat spread. Ability-wise, you're looking at it, it can take the Panspectral Scanner. It ignores cover. Great. It also has fire support. Is the only source in the entire army of re-rolling wounds if a unit disembarks from the land fortress.
What a silly
Here's
ability.
Here's the unfortunate thing. You can't put a full unit of Thunderkin inside of a land fort because they don't fit, because GW forgot how to do math, so those don't fit.
Or Hearthguard.
You can't put a full unit of Hearthguard in it, despite the fact that they would clearly fit inside it, and Land Raiders exist. So you can't do that, because Volkite rerolling would have been sick. Probably too good, honestly.
It would be too good.
It would, but I want it anyway. And otherwise, you put warriors in it. Let's be real. Most of the time, it's probably naked. There's probably nothing in it. You're just taking it like a tank. But it's got some guns. So gun-wise, it's got a cyclic ion cannon. Looking at D6 plus 3 blast shots, hitting on 4s. Strength 9, AP 2 damage. Totally fine. That'll kill some stuff. Magna rail cannon, dev wounds, heavy, 1 shot, hitting on 4s, 30-inch range. Strength 18, AP 4, D6 plus 6. It's swingy. If it hits,
and with heavy,
and it wounds, and no one saves, it'll do something.
Right.
Hekaton Warhead, nope, doesn't exist.
No
one takes that. You take ignore cover. It's got a SP heavy conversion beamer. It's got conversion. So if you're hitting, attacking outside of 12, you automatically confirm the sustained hits. Sustained hits D3, 2 shots, hitting on 4s, strength 10, AP 2, 4 damage. That thing slaps. That's always good. Matter autocannon. It's got a little baby gun on the back of it. 24-inch, same thing that you could take on the Sagitaur. So 6 shots hitting on 4s, 7, 1, 2 for the damage. You can also take either the twin bolters or twin ion beamers. The same thing that
I think you're mistaken. You can only take twin bolters. I'm making a joke.
It's the only thing you would take.
Yeah.
Don't do the like ungodly thing that I've seen some people do, where you take the rail cannon and 2 beams and just make the world's dumbest tank. And then it's worth noting, you do technically have 6 strength 8 attacks in melee. You theoretically
Oh my god, it's strength 8?
Yeah. You can tank shock with a land fortress, and you can theoretically warrior pride and have 6 strength 8 AP 2 1 damage attacks in melee with your tires.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. So here's my thing with the land fort. And James Shapiro, player out of England, hit me with a really good quote that someone told him with. If you're trying to take a unit and either build it for something it shouldn't be built for, or use it for something you shouldn't be using it for, you're already losing.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the cyclic ion cannon, you'd take that to deal with a larger amount of varied targets. That's not what you want to be using the land fort for. The Magna Rail cannon, that does a great job of hitting into high toughness targets. Sagitaurs probably do it better, because you'll get 6 shots instead of 1 that functionally do the same damage. But the beamer is a very unique gun. Strength 10, AP 2, flat 4 damage, ignoring cover. That is a good gun. That's the one you're probably always taking. You're not getting conversion if they get within 12 of you, so you're not going to be as close. But this is kind of our way to play with land forts in a way that you'd almost play with a smaller Imperial Knight. Not quite an Armiger or a War Dog, but that T12 does make it last.
True.
An issue that you will have, unfortunately, if you take just one of them, it dies.
Yeah.
If an army just points everything at it, it doesn't have an invuln. You can put it in cover. You can Warrior Pride it to reduce AP, but it only has 16 wounds. I know it sounds a little wish listy while I'm sitting here saying it's T12, 2-up save, and only 16 wounds, but for 225 points, if your opponent looks at it, it will die.
A lot of dev wounds exist. A lot of anti-vehicle exists. There are definitely ways to kill it.
Yep. And if you take 2 of them, okay, that's working a little bit better. You can repair 1. If you take a Forge Master, it's getting up there. Some builds that take 2 or 3 can be successful. That's totally fine. I have a mechanized list where I run 6 Sagitaurs and 3 land forts. It's very funny. It's like I'm playing a really weird Xenos version of Imperial Knights. The models are great. And if you like the land fort, push for it.
Yeah.
It's not as popular as some other choices.
Truly.
That's not to say it's not going to work, but we're not as excited about this model as we are about other ones. And hopefully, with some small tweaks, like we said, changing that carrying capacity. If they took 6 Thunderkin, that'd be sick.
That'd be
People would
so
take
good.
it. If they could fit 3 Thunderkin and a Forge Master, which they can't because the cogs take up transport slots, I'd be more excited about it.
Yeah.
If they could fit more Thunderkin and give them rerolls, if Warriors were worth giving rerolls, if it had an assault ramp.
Dude, if it had an assault ramp, I'd take 10 Berserks any day in it.
You know, I know it only technically has 4 ramps on it, and that a Land Raider has 1, but it's too much to give this an assault ramp, I guess. But there's some really small things they could do that could make this really great again, or just give us a Hekaton variant that like has more guns and no transport capacity.
Yeah,
that could be cool.
Yeah, I agree.
What's our last one?
Oh wait, actually, we skipped over Thunderkin. We have 2. I'm
so
sorry. My disrespect.
We have 2 more. We
do.
Miscounted.
Well,
so miscounted the men.
The last 3 that aren't the biggest. So Chthonian Berserks are only melee centric army or unit.
They're ugly.
They're ugly. Man, I just wish they looked more like Fire Slayers.
Why do they have diapers? why don't they have shirts on?
Why
are they bald?
You hate them so much. It's so funny.
They don't fit.
I think the Berserks. Okay, the Berserks lost a lot of flavor from 9th. I don't think we have to go into them too hard.
We talked about them a lot in the last one.
Yeah, the Berserks unfortunately lost a lot of flavor. They have a lot of swinginess. Their Fight on Death is only a 4-up. Their Mole Launcher only stops them moving a little bit more on a 4-up. They don't have reroll charges anymore. They don't have it is quite a bit of a bummer. They do have
their indirect guns hitting on 5s.
It's
only D6 shots.
Their concussion mauls are nice. AP 2, 3 damage, 3 attacks each. But other than that, unfortunately, I think Berserk's a little dead on the table, in my opinion.
You know what's funny? And I still think this is true, but I was talking to a buddy today. If I could take a unit of 5, all with the twin concussion gauntlets.
Sure. Yeah.
If I could take 5 Mr. Fistos,
Dude.
Which the concussion gauntlets right now you never see, but it's 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, strength 9, AP 1, 2 damage, but it's twin linked.
Yeah.
If I could take 5 of that for 100 points.
Not so bad. Yeah.
20 attacks, strength 9, AP 1. I'd still take it. It'd be cool.
Yeah.
And I'd have Mr. Fisto.
I think there is a world, maybe there's a meta that exists out there where you could take 3 Hekatons and 30 Berserks with axes and just swing for the fences, but I don't think we're in it, and I'm sorry.
You know the real thing that I think kind of kicked these into the dirt for me was, man?
What's that?
They took away being able to split these with Sagittars.
Oh my God. Also true.
In 9th, you used to be able to take 6 Sagittars, 3 10-man units of Berserks, and you'd put 6 5-man units of Berserks, and that was the whole play style. It was great. Everybody loved it, except for people that had to play against it. So they took it away.
Yeah.
Now you can't do it anymore. So if you were a freak that has 30 Berserks like me, and you hate them, it's good because you'll never play 30 of them ever again. You'll play like 5, maybe. People do use them. The gun can be good. It can be so good.
Why is it a 4-up?
But because we're not elves, there's like so many layers of randomness that you pay for the chance of it working.
Yes.
Depending on your terrain setup, depending on your builds and the tables that you're on, it can be good. It can be fine. If you like them, use it. I don't like them. I think they're ugly. I converted warriors to look like them. They look much better. They don't have diapers on.
They do. Yeah, the minor berserks look so cool. Why don't you round us out with our thunderkin?
All right, let's go for it. So, Brokir Thunderkin. You're looking at units between the size of 3 and 6. 75 points for 3, 150 for 6. Movement 5. They're waddling. T6, 3 up save, 3 wounds, leadership 7, OC 1.
3 wounds, huge.
It's pretty good. Now, they can be led by an Iron Master. They also have the ability Oathbound Covering Fire. Each time they target a unit with Overwatch, they score a hit roll on a 5-up instead of a 6. Whoa, that's wild, GW. Don't get too crazy here. They used to ignore cover. That was probably better than this. They have 3 guns. They have a bolt cannon, 36-inch range, 3 shots, hitting on 4, strength 6, AP 1, 2 damage, sustained hits once. You're not ignoring cover, so that's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
You used to be able to pay super cheap for Bolterkin, which is cool. But paying the same price for that as a Graviton Blast Cannon, which is anti-vehicle 2-up blast, 18 inches, D6 shots, hitting on 4s, strength 5, AP 2, 2 damage. Nice. That thing's just better. 100% of the time, it's just better. Or you have the SP Conversion Beamer. Again, conversion, outside of 2, you're confirming sustained hits D3, 1 shot each, BS4, strength 7, AP 1, 3 damage. That gun would be the nuts if they could ignore cover.
Oh my god.
Or if you had any way of bumping their AP.
Except outside of plunging fire, if you want to put them on a 6-inch ruin.
That if they could fit too, right?
Yeah.
It's also worth noting they have 2 melee attacks each. You can Warrior Pride this unit. So if you have a 6-man unit, you can get 12 strength 4 AP 2 attacks. So if a bunch of Marines charge into you, you can just go, welcome to the fight zone, bucko, and just punch them to death. You can just do that. Now here's the deal. The Iron Master can repair them. You know what would be better than that? If they functioned like Space Marine Apothecaries or Chaos Space Marine Sorcerers, and they healed the guy and revived a guy.
Revived them, yeah.
That would be really good, and you'd maybe see them.
Yeah.
A lot of people right now love Graviton Thunderkin. You put them in reserves, you come out, you blow the crap out of a vehicle. It's
blow
just
the crap, or do actions, truly. Most of the time, I feel like
3-man?
A little more action monkey than they are actually doing the work.
Yeah, a 3-man, you throw sustained hits 2 on these guys. A 6-man's going to kill any tank, pretty much guaranteed.
Yep.
A 3-man can do actions, totally fine. The issue you find that depending on your terrain, I play on a lot of GW setups. So typically GW1 or GW3. It's fairly terrain dense. So we have firing lanes. 5-inch move just ain't it, brother.
Ain't it? I'm sorry, your max threat range is 23 inches. Great, I will shoot you from my 24-inch gun and stay outside of that.
If you're playing against Tau, you will come in from reserves exactly 1 time and then never shoot that army again.
Yeah.
Because they can just hit you, fire and fade away.
Yep.
And you cannot ever catch them or get in range.
They're most likely fire and fading double your max distance of your movement as Thunderkin.
And you can't advance and shoot. So again, they're totally fine. But depending on your meta, at my last 32-man RTT, there were 8 Tau players. Please, someone help me. It's just you can't take them.
You can't catch them.
Yep. It's just you're waddling too slow. If 6 of them could fit in that Hekaton land fortress, you see where we're taking this? But they can't. So you can't. Now, we kind of got lost in the sauce there a little bit. We went on for a lot of our units. So I know we had said we're going to spend some time talking about, individual meta and how that can attach itself to a broader meta. But Dom, I think we could probably hit that up in our next episode.
I do. I think it was really important to give a broad explanation of the units and why they may be good or not. And I think maybe for another one we'll go over metas. Especially we hit back up in a couple weeks. I will have done 2 RTTs by then. To talk about these different metas. But I think I think it's important not to overdo a certain topic. So let's Let's bring that back on another one. I do think if you have any questions about individual units, how they may work, how you may find you've been doing them and it hasn't been working or has been working, or if you want some advice on maybe like how to approach it a little differently, please leave a comment. Please ask away. Would love to help explain to you why Berserks are bad. Or why Uthar is bad. I say this while we were talking during this episode. I actually went back and added Uthar back into my list like an asshole because I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try him again. But yes, again, thank you everyone so much. I can't even tell you how much we appreciate it. That all the positive feedback we got. Slap that subscribe button. Slap that like button.
Buttons. Hey, you know what? If you made it this far, do one even better. Post some of your lists in the chat, and maybe we can even review those in the next session.
Yeah. Hell yeah,
we'll
that's
take
a great
look
idea.
at them. We'll do them live. We'll throw them out there. Guys, thanks for being with us. Daddy loves you. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.